Hello students, welcome to Calendar Studies Biology classes. I am Dr. Sujan Goswami and in this video tutorial we will be learning about the blood supply of long bones. For understanding this topic, we will be using these 5 figures marked as A, B, C, D and E. Let us first begin with the figure A. Let us begin with the figure A. The figure A represents the surface landmarks of the long bone. Let us go into the details. This round structure at the both ends are known as the epiphysis. So, these two portions are epiphysis. This epiphysis have one broad region of hard bones is known as the epiphyseal plate. Here at the bottom we have another epiphyseal plate. So there we have two epiphyses and along with that two epiphyseal plates. This entire long portion is known as the shaft of the bone, also known as the diaphysis. So shaft or diaphysis, this long portion, and the junction between this epiphysis and diaphysis, this portion is known as the metaphysis. Similarly, here also we have another metaphysis, this junction. Next, in the diaphysis, we have a short hole-like structure. This hole-like structure is known as the nutrient foramen. So, these are the basic outer landmarks. The epiphysis at the both ends, followed by the epiphyseal plates, then metaphysis at the both ends, a long shaft or diaphysis, and in the diaphysis we have a small hole known as the nutrient foramen. So the figure number B that we have here is the internal landmarks of the long bone. Here we can see two different structures. One is the outer layer, this one, and the inner layer that is colored with pink. This entire outer layer is made up of compact bone. So this is also compact bone. This shaft or the diaphysis, the wall of the diaphysis is also made of compact bone. This entire wall is known as the cortex. So the cortex of the long bone is made up of compact bone, and we can see at the both epiphyseal ends there are pink colored region. These are made of spongy bone. So from here we came to know that a long bone is made up of two kind of bony tissues. One is compact bone tissue and another one is spongy bone tissue. The outer layer is made up of the compact bone and the inner epiphyseal regions are made up of the spongy bone tissues. Now this entire hollow portion, entire diaphysis region hollow portion here is the medullary cavity. This medullary cavity contains yellow bone marrow in mature bones. Now, the inner surface of this cortex and the outer surface of the cortex are covered by a type of connective tissue layer. The connective tissue layer that covers the outer surface of the cortex is called the periosteum. And the connective tissue layer that covers the inner surface of the cortex is known as the endosteum. Peri means outer surface and endo means inner surface. So covering of the outer surface is the periosteum and covering of the inner surface of the medullary cavity is the endosteum. So using figure C, we will understand the nutrient arteries, veins and its relations. Through our previous structures, we know that this end is known as the epiphyseal ends and this entire portion is known as the diaphysis, and the junction between the epiphysis and the diaphysis is known as the metaphysis. We also learned that the diaphysis contains a foramen known as the nutrient foramen, shown over here. So this is the nutrient foramen. Why nutrient foramen is important for a bone? A long slender artery like this, a long tortuous means zigzag artery goes into the nutrient foramen of the long bone. So long zigzag artery that enters into the nutrient foramen of the long bone is known as the nutrient artery. So this nutrient artery provides basic nutrients to the long bones and it supplies the medullary cavity or the bone marrow present here in this medullary cavity. This nutrient artery is sometimes associated with one or two associated veins known as the nutrient vein. So this nutrient artery is supported by either one or two nutrient veins that goes into the nutrient foramen. This nutrient artery, after entering the nutrient foramen, branches out in both directions. When the nutrient artery branches upwards towards the upper epiphysis is known as the ascending branch of nutrient artery, and similarly when this branch goes downwards towards the lower epiphyseal end, it's known as the descending branch of nutrient artery. So here we can see that the nutrient artery, which is a zigzag structure, enters the nutrient foramen and inside the nutrient foramen makes two distinct branches. One branch that goes upwards makes the ascending branch and another branch that goes downwards makes the descending branch. This ascending and descending branch makes parallel branches at the beginning of the metaphysis. So these are the parallel branches of both ascending branch and descending branch, and we have to remember that both these parallel branches goes up till the metaphyseal end. So this is the basic idea about the nutrient artery and its relations. Now, other than nutrient artery, there are few other arteries and veins that are very important for the blood supply to the long bones. We will see those structures with the help of the figure D. So, using this figure D, we will understand the relation between the epiphyseal blood vessels, metaphyseal blood vessels and the periosteal blood vessels. Since we have studied the details about the nutrient artery and their relations in this figure, so we are not drawing this diagram over here. We know that a long bone is divided into three important parts: the epiphyseal region, the metaphyseal region and the diaphysis. So here is the metaphysis, here is the epiphysis and this long portion is the diaphysis. And in the figure B, we learned that the outer covering of the long bones or the shaft of the long bone are covered with a connective tissue known as periosteum. So this outer layer of this portion is covered with the periosteum, and this periosteum is covered with the type of blood vessels known as the periosteal blood vessels, both arteries and veins, though number of veins are more in case of the periosteal blood vessels. So all these structures belongs to the periosteal blood vessels. These are present in both sides. These periosteal blood vessels provides blood or nutrient, supplies nutrient to the outer 1/3 of the cortex. So this periosteal blood vessels provides nutrition to the outer 1/3 of this cortex, and this nutrient artery provides nutrition to the inner 2/3 of the cortex and the entire medullary cavity. Next, we have here is the metaphyseal regions. Metaphyseal regions are known as the lake of blood or sometimes called the pool of blood. Metaphyseal region contains a special type of blood vessel that are recognizable with their hairpin structure. Hairpin structure. So the blood vessel that are related to the metaphyseal region are hairpin shaped structure. This is the structural feature that differentiate the metaphyseal blood vessels with the other blood vessels of the long bone. Another important feature of metaphyseal blood vessels are that the end arteries. That means these blood vessels do not join or connect with the other blood vessels present in the long bone. So here in the both ends of the metaphysis we have the metaphyseal blood vessels. Similarly, at the epiphysis of both ends, epiphysis is supplied by a type of blood vessel known as the epiphyseal blood vessels. So, epiphysis is supplied by blood vessels known as the epiphyseal blood vessels. Here also, epiphyseal blood vessels. So here we saw three important blood vessel group. At the both end, at the epiphysis, we have the epiphyseal blood vessels. In the middle, that is the metaphyseal region, we have the metaphyseal blood vessels that have two distinct features. One is that it has the hairpin structure or hairpin loop structure, and another one is that they are the end arteries, that is, they do not anastomose or they do not form connection with other blood vessels here shown. And apart from this epiphyseal and metaphyseal blood vessels, we have another group called the periosteal blood vessels. These blood vessels are present all over the diaphysis, the outer region of the diaphysis. And important feature of these periosteal blood vessels are there are more veins as compared to arteries. We have to remember that the periosteal blood vessels covers the only 1/3, outer 1/3 of this diaphysis, while this nutrient artery covers the internal 2/3 and the entire medullary cavity. Let us now study all these structures together with the help of this diagram. So, using this diagram, we will be understanding the relation between all the different kind of blood vessels we have studied so far. We know that the long bone have epiphyseal ends, that is the two epiphyses, one long shaft or the diaphysis, and the junction between the diaphysis and the epiphysis is known as the metaphysis. We have to remember in adult long bones, these metaphyses are absent. Since these metaphyses are absent over here, so the blood vessels that are coming from the epiphyseal region and the branches from the nutrient artery, they merge together and form a functional whole. So, we have studied that nutrient artery, this one, is a long zigzag looking artery or blood vessel that enters through the nutrient foramen. Now, after entering the nutrient foramen, it makes one ascending branch and makes one descending branch. Similarly, at this point, the epiphyseal arteries or the blood vessel enters the epiphysis from both sides. So, these are the epiphyseal blood vessels. Now, we have to remember that this ascending branch and descending branch makes parallel branches in both sides. These parallel branches goes and joins with the epiphyseal blood vessels, and this joining between two different blood vessels is known as the anastomosis. So, the word anastomosis means joining of the two different blood vessels. Similarly, like this, the descending parallel arteries also makes connection with the lower epiphyseal arteries. The periosteal arteries or blood vessels also joins with the nutrient arteries over here. As we know that periosteal blood vessels contain more veins as compared to the arteries. So, periosteal blood vessels joins with this ascending and descending branch of the nutrient artery in both directions. And since we have learned that metaphyseal blood vessels are the hairpin structures and also they are the end arteries, they do not anastomose with anyone, so they stays at the hairpin structure like this at the both ends. So this is the basic idea about the blood supply of the long bone. So from this discussion, we came to realize that there are four important groups of blood vessels that are important for the blood supply of the long bones, and these are: number one, nutrient arteries and veins. Number two, we have periosteal blood vessels. Third one, we have the metaphyseal blood vessels. And fourth one are the epiphyseal blood vessels. So the nutrient artery and veins, the periosteal blood vessels, the metaphyseal blood vessels and the epiphyseal blood vessels are the four groups that makes up the entire blood supply of long bones. Thank you.